Hey guys, Kurt from Time Machine Transport at the shop today, getting that truck ready for the road. And I had to open up the Bugout trailer, so I'm going to do a video on a Bugout trailer. So my wife and I had bought this at an auction back in 2017. I think it was April or May of 2017. So anyways, we were at this auction and my wife said, hey, if it didn't look anything like this, that's the finished product. So anyways, I'm gonna go over things that we have in ours and my true beliefs on a Bugout trailer. When my wife had saw it, she said, hey, if we buy that, do you think you could turn it into a camper? And I said, yeah, sure. So I used to be a general contractor, so I have some skills of doing some stuff. So we had bought it for $375. So we cut the windows in it and put the lights up, and it had 2 swing doors back in the rear. We obviously did a drop ramp on it, so we call these the murder machines. I'll get into those in a little bit. Anyways, so you can basically drive a ATV up in there. So we did that tailgate. I'll do a finish video of how we pack it up and when it's all closed up. But basically, that bottom ramp folds up, and then the top folds down. So actually, the top goes in first, and then the bottom goes up, I think, or something like that. Anyways, basically, that hook you see, I'll show you the hook. Actually, I'll show you right now. But that hook system right here ties into both of these hooks right there on both sides to keep it closed. So we had cut all the windows in it, and it was just a shell on the inside. The outside was a wreck. It was all beat to shit, and it was white. And I'm going to see if I could put the before pictures. I'm not really sure on how to do that, but I'll see if I can edit the video and put the befores in. And then while I was working on it, it took me about 3 months to do it in the summer of 2017. Because obviously everybody was kind of, hey, shit's going to happen or whatever the case is. So I'm going to go over things that we have and give you some ideas of you could probably do the same thing if you have a little bit of skills. Obviously, we have a large shop, so we take half of this building all the way in the back. Where all 3 doors are open. So we're fortunate enough to where we have the space. But even if you have a driveway or an apartment or whatever, you could probably park this and just get the basic items. Basically, what we did was we cut 4 windows in. There's 2 in the rear, 1 on that side, and then 1 on that side, 1 up there, and then there's 1 in the top flip top area there, right there. And so this unit took about, like I said, about 3 months to do. And I was kind of in a rush because of September 23rd, 2017. So I think it took 19 bags of insulation. Let me get up in here. Took 19 bags of insulation. Obviously, the plywood, redecked the floor, and the cool thing about it is we put a shower in it, and I damaged the drain. That was another reason why I had to take everything out. That hole in the ground there's actually a pop-up drain that was sitting there like that. And then we put a toilet in it, but without a tank, because what we did was, well, here's a little vent up here as well. But what I did was I did a little flip top in here so you could have a place to wash your hands. And then it basically goes, I got to put a rubber boot in here. So basically I can, so it gets a seal down here. So when it flushes, it just, instead of having to hit the handle, you just basically pop this top and the water would go down after you wash your hands. And it would go underneath the trailer into a pit that you would dig. And then what we did was we put a shower curtain up here. I should have had this ready. And basically you have a little shower area, a little hook for your towel, whatever the case is. So anyways, we did a metal galvanized pan. And excuse my shoes, these are my shop shoes. But anyways, I'll show you this. So that's kind of how that goes. We put it so it's a nice shower curtain in there, but also you don't want a wall here because it would be so small that, it would just give you the appearance that it's, wow, this is really super tiny. But it would definitely serve the purpose of having to do, be able to take a shower. So anyways, what we did was we grabbed one of these on eBay, and that's our shower bag. We're going to put a hook up top here. I got a little bit of repairing to do. We got some caulking up here that kind of came out. I've been busy. I just haven't really had time to do the stuff that I need to do. So once I repair the drain, I have to do a little bit of caulking up top here that kind of came loose. So, and then I got to put a strip right here to hide this wire. This wire is for our top lights, which I'll show you. Anyways, so we have to put a hook up here, and this is actually a solar bag. So when you fill it with water, you can stick it outside and it heats up. So, and if you don't want to do that, that's why we have a wood-burning stove. We've actually tested it. It's a double-lined steel pipe, and it works amazing. So we have a bunch of dry wood in here. That's what the wood right here is for. Because if shit does hit the fan, you want to have some dry wood to start a fire. And then also, if you don't want to do the solar bag for a shower, you could just put a pot here on the stove and heat it up, dump it in the bag, and you have yourself a little shower. So, and then we have a little ledge here with some dish pans to heat up water and do dishes. And then we relined the inside of the wood burning stove. I think I paid $150, $175 for the wood burning stove. And then inside here, that's where our battery's going to go for our top lights. So I know I'm kind of jumping around here. So that's another reason why we have all that stuff there in that bin. So you have dry wood to start a fire. Another thing that you want, speaking of fire, is you want a couple of fire extinguishers. So, like I said, this took about 19 bags of insulation. We're able to swing the door closed and lock it up, obviously, for transportation. But if you were to close the door and you didn't want somebody to lock you in, you could. I mean, you could actually get a little cable and fasten it off to the axle so nobody could lock you in. But what we do is we actually slide a board through here. I think, yeah, the board's right here. And so basically, if you were spending the night in here, and that would be your security for the night. And we have two of them. We have one up top and one on the bottom. So kind of hard to do this with one hand. So anyways, so that's what we did there. And then, so the thing we use, about a 5/8 inch plywood, and then on the undercarriage, we cleaned it all up and oil based it. And then this is where I grounded out the trailer. That's how it got busted, because I had the pipe hanging. I forgot to take it apart and ripped it off. So I just have to get up in here and chisel this out, put a new coupling on here, and then it's just going to be temporary. So basically, I'm just going to pop an elbow here, come up to the hanger. The drain is going to pop down and tie into this. And then you would just run 3-inch piping, say, 20, 30 feet away from the trailer. So it's all gravity fed. You just pitch it a little bit so it can go into a hole. And you got yourself a nice shower and a toilet. So anyways, that's kind of the thought on that. So we put new lights on it and all that kind of stuff. So, but what we did was all the windows obviously are functioning. They all slide up and they all have screens. But that top one right there is kind of also an escape hatch. Basically, we just have a nut here. This swings, and this hole, I made a top water box, I guess, so water wouldn't come in here and sit. So basically what I did was just drill through, and all you'd have to do is turn this, and the whole entire unit, just unthread this, and the whole top box would come off. And then this window is not fastened. You can just pop the whole window straight out for an escape hatch in case you needed it. So, to the top, that's what it looks like on the top. So, anyways, so we have those lights there going to our battery box on the bottom. So we got a shower, talked about that. Talked about our solar bag, our toilet, our little shower, our wood burning stove, fire extinguishers, dry kindling, dry wood. That's definitely so important that you have dry wood to start a fire. Now, go to the other stuff. So we have several cots and regular fold-up chairs, some ropes, a small tent. I think we got a couple tents. We have a couple mosquito nets. Also, I saw this. I'm not a garbage digger by any means, but I saw this net sitting in the garbage out here by the shop, and figured we could definitely use that for something, a small hammock or basically something to haul stuff with. We have a lantern. We also have a portable heater, and those are run on fuel, and we have about 150 gallons of fuel at the shop. And these run on gasoline, both of those. Also have a lot of bungee cords. We have probably a whole bin full. All of our trucks carry lots of 2-inch straps, 4-inch straps, bungees, so on and so forth. So the reason why we have all this, because we just stick it all inside the Bugout trailer, and we don't keep it here at the shop. We keep it somewhere else so people don't know where it is. But anyways, so basically all you'd have to do is just hook up and leave. We do have a plan of going across the street. There's a loading dock there, and taking one of our flatbeds to a semi and just driving our pickup and the trailer straight onto a flatbed and going out to our Bugout location. So you have semis hold about anywhere between 250 to 300 gallons of diesel fuel, 125 or 150 gallons per tank. So that would also be a nice little option to have, because you have 300 gallons of fuel that you can barter with, or whatever the case is. So we have about 150 gallons of regular gas that we switch out. We rotate it in and out so it doesn't go bad. And then we'll have 300 gallons of diesel. So like I said, have, any kind of little, this isn't garbage picking. It's stuff that you can actually use. And all this stuff we actually bought when Gander Mountain was going out of business. They had huge clearances. So we didn't pay top dollar for this stuff. So like I said, have cots, chairs, we talked about the other stuff in there. These are actually some pretty large tarps, believe it or not. They fold out to about 20 feet by 15 or something like that, each one. You're going to want to have some tarps for your firewood, because you're going to want to keep your firewood dry. Once you get out to your Bugout location, you're going to want to keep your firewood dry, because wet firewood gives off a lot of smoke, which is going to give off your position. I mean, you can smell burning wood, so on and so forth. I get it, but the thing is why, if you don't have to use wet wood, why use it? I mean, that's how the American Indians used to send smoke signals, right? So you don't want your position to be compromised. And then I'm sure you see we have a bunch of empty bottle containers to haul water with in case we need it. We have some barbed wire. We have ATV tire sealant repair. Have yourself some hard metal cordage or whatever, you can twist tie that, and have yourself one of these. A way to siphon fuel is super important. We had a couple rolls of wire mesh there if you do a garden or whatever the case is. And this stuff from Menards here, we're out of Wisconsin, so Menards are everywhere. So I think the stuff wasn't that expensive. The barbed wire, I think, was like $60 or something like that. And then, we bought this from a rummage sale. Nice little grill top for the fire. I don't know what my socks are doing in there, but then have some extra chain. We got a chainsaw, obviously. Have a a file kit so you can sharpen your chainsaw blades or your chains for your chainsaw. Sharpen the chain blade on it, because you're not going to be able to go to a hardware store and pick one up, right? So have a file kit so you can file those down to sharpen them up. I wouldn't recommend using a chainsaw, but if you get out to your bug out location, for the first couple days, people aren't really going to know what's going on, so make as much noise as you want. I did some other videos of what I had for my bug out bag and my semi. I carry a lot of stuff in there as well, weapons and a bug out bag and so on and so forth, extra food and water filtration, all that stuff. So anyways, one of the videos I had said, hey, the first couple days, make as much noise as you want, man. I mean, where we're going, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so drop as many trees as you can, and then you can cut them up by hand after that, delimb them and stuff like that. So having a chainsaw is pretty important, and it's a hell of an intimidating weapon. I mean, shit, somebody comes at me with a chainsaw. I mean, did you guys not see the Chainsaw Massacre? So, anyways, and then this right here, if you're a golfer, every golfer has one of these in his bag. And this thing actually extends out. And the reason why I have this in this video is, a lot of people say that if the power goes down, you're not going to be able to get fuel. Well, at every gas station, there's a tank in the ground, and there's metal lids. If you look around the gas station on the ground, you'll see metal lids. That's where the tankers drop their fuel in those holding tanks from those big metal lids. So if you have one of these, you could actually tape a bucket to the end of this and drop it. You could remove the cover, and you could lay on your stomach, and you could actually dip the fuel right out of there if you had to. So having one of these is important. It's actually a ball retriever is what it is if you're a golfer. But having one of these is actually kind of nice. So you could get fuel out of a ground if you had to. How else are you going to get down there? You're not going to send a small kid down there. They won't be able to get back up. So have a means of being able to bucket out some fuel out of a holding tank. All right. Next, have some old plexiglass to do a solar cooker if you want to dehydrate your meat. Have 4 or 5 pieces of that. You can make a solar cooker out of there to dehydrate meat. So have that. And then what we did was we had bought 2 ATVs used on Craigslist. They didn't look like that. They were basic. They're old ones. This is a Kickstart 88 Honda. I think this one's a 350 horsepower. And then we have a 92 Raptor from my wife. That one's an electric start. But what we did was we welded these holding these mounts on it, so we can put those bins of food on there, one on back or one in the front, or a couple 5-gallon buckets of fuel. And then what we did was we welded on some hitches, and we bought these cool little trailers for this trailer's for my wife's, but it's in the shop right now. I got to put a starter on it. So what we did was when we bought those, we bought both of them used for $2,100. And we cammied them up, welded all the stuff on there. We got gun mounts in the front for our shotguns and our ARs. And then obviously, we have quite a bit of holding space or holding power with these trailers. And the trailers weren't that much. I think they were like $200. It came unassembled, so you have to assemble them. I don't even think they were 200. They might have been 200 anyways. But they're really nice. They actually, there's a little clip here that you just remove and the whole bed tips. So that's kind of nice. So we call them murder machines. So they actually get up and boogie pretty good. And then what we also did, we welded on some winches. This one being a kickstart, I have a solar powered charger to charge, or to, we're going to hook a battery up. This was in this box right here. That we can lay the solar panel in the front, and then we're going to put a battery up there to operate the winch, being that it's a kickstart. Hers is all working off the battery, because hers is an electric start. Have yourself a set of ramps, if you do have a pickup or whatever the case is. Unfortunately, when I do the finished video, we stick both trailers in the Bugout trailer, and one ATV rides up in there, and then we'd have to put the other one on our pickup. So, but anyways, so that's kind of that. We did put this meshing in here. It's not for security. It's just so it looks more like security than anything. But somebody couldn't just obviously pop their hand in there. You could hear them. So we put wire meshing on all the windows except for the top escape hatch. And then we did something cool. We put power in here. On the side, we have generators as well. We got a couple. We got like a 5300 and a 1000 watt Yamaha, real quiet one. And we made it so you can just plug a generator in if you want. But we also have a solar charger as well, with the plug-in. All you need is a power inverter, which we have. So basically, your sun goes to the solar panel, it goes to this regulator, and then the regulator actually has jumper cables to it that go to a battery, and then which go to a power inverter, which will light up the inside here. And then what we did was, you could see, such a mess, I apologize. You could see these 3 bunks. 1, 2, 3. They actually fold up like that. So the top one stays open, and then the bottom 2 fold right into each other. So it also, if you take this one and detach the chain right here, that will actually fold down, and you can sit on it like a bench. So you can actually drop that side and then drop the other one, and you can actually sit on it like a bench. So this actually folds down and goes on kind of like an angle, and it actually is a seating bench as well. So we did that so we can collapse the bunks and ride an ATV up in there. So you can see I kind of brought this one out. That one's further closer to the wall. So once the bottom goes up against the wall, and then this one folds down. And just gravity holds it in place. It doesn't need any bungees or cordage or anything. So, and then these always stay open so we can use it as regular storage shed. So this basically would be more like a pantry, or, you know, kind of a means of getting some good sleep with security, because you're gonna definitely want 24-hour security if shit hits the fan. So, all right, a few other things. We have about 6 bags of charcoal, and it's not for cooking. It's for water filtration, or for filtering water. You can actually take, if you smash up the charcoal, because that's charcoal basically is what's in water filters. So you crush up the charcoal, and you could put sand and rocks in there, and you can actually, if you were to take river water or lake water, you could actually pour it into it, and it would filter out a lot of the really bad stuff. You'd still want to boil it afterwards, but it would take out a lot of contaminants. So we have 6 bags of charcoal. I mean, it's not forever, but it's a means of water right away. We also have a drinking water, a gravity filter. These are really, really nice. And we have the extra filter with it as well. I think it does 5,000 gallons in one filter, and then another 5,000 for the other filter. But that's just an emergency thing. If you are obviously in your bug out location, you're going to want to use, you know, regular filtration of charcoal and boiling, and this right here would be only for your emergency stuff. I wouldn't use that all the time, because who knows when you'll be able to get another filter after the 10,000 gallons. So that's what the charcoal's for, the water filtration. Now we have our camping supply, and again, all this stuff was pretty much all this stuff minus the food. We'll get to that in a second. But all this stuff here, the cooking set, the coffee pot, the iron pan, the Coleman cooker stove, all that stuff was purchased at Gander Mountain when it was going out of sale. So, I mean, going out of business. So, I mean, we basically, we were getting stuff 50 cents on the dollar, 75 or 25 cents on the dollar. They had sometimes they were 75% off. I mean, it was just crazy the amount of deals that we ran into. So like I said, we are fortunate enough to get that. So if you don't have the means of buying, always keep your eye open, because that's where you're going to get a lot of your deals. Is I always have my eye open for clearance, whether it's for equipment, whether it's food, whether it's spices, whether it's anything. God, we really got a hornet problem in here today. So anyways, so we, I don't know what's in this one here. I'm going to stop putting zip ties on. I check the trailer every year to make sure that everything is still good. All right, so that's what we have in that one. All right, so back to the goodies. So we talked about that. Also, some stuff you're going to want. We have another iron pot. They say that iron skillets are the best way to cook in the wilderness. You don't want to use your regular, Teflon frying pan. It doesn't work well over campfires, I guess. I don't know for a fact, but that's just what they said. So we have a couple of those, and then this is obviously a regular campfire cooking set. So another thing we bought at Gander, you can see the price tag here was $40 a piece. I think we spent $10 a piece for two of these rods. Let me get this out of the way. So these are actually decent rods. I mean, shit, for I think 10 or 15 bucks we paid. And then we bought a bunch of extra fishing line. I mean, obviously you're going to need fishing line in case, because you're going to want to be doing a lot of fishing, obviously hunting, if you can. I'm not a hunter at all, but I've watched several videos on how to process an animal. Speaking of which, one of our things here we bought from Menards was actually, it's a hoist for processing an animal. But I've watched several videos, and my wife's an RN, so she knows how to dissect stuff. So, and the other people that we are leaving with are hunters as well. So anyway, so this, and then you want a fishing net. And not only is this stuff good for replacement line, it's also good for, basically setting up tripwires. I was in an airborne unit, I was in an elite combat unit. So, I've had my courses on, doing, booby traps and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a special forces guy by any means, but anyways, you can also buy books on how to do warning tripwires and stuff like that. So this stuff is actually really good for it. So and just have it just in case. Another thing you're going to want is some sort of way to keep you entertained. Tennis balls, football, bocce ball, ladder ball, cards, board games. We have all that stuff. So, and then this little stuff, there was little stuff that we would just get in a little package or something, and instead of throwing it away, we keep it in its little heating stuff there. And got a grappling hook, $30 grappling hook. I think we paid $5 for it. You never know when you want to do Batman, right? This is also a tackle box for the fishing gear. They came with a couple of these small ones, but this, again, was gander clearance. Have a thing of caution tape, just because it could deter somebody, that, you know, it could just be a fake scenario, but it could also, you know, help deter people. So have a roll of that if you want. Also, ice fishing. Bought this from a pawn shop. I've never ice fished before, but my brother-in-law has, and he says it's not very difficult to use. So I believe we bought a couple of these, but I could only find one. So, and then we bought these on clearance. Some tree saws. We have like 3 of these, and they were on clearance as well. Then we had bought some bear repellent. That was on Amazon, pretty cheap. We got a few of those, plus my wife's got one in her bug-out bag. I have one in my bug-out bag, some little air horn things. Again, those are for bears or wild animals or whatever the case may be. Then we have a super nice medical kit. This was pretty pricey, I think a couple $100. But it has all the stuff that you need. I mean, it's a nice one. You know, we bought the colloidal silver and all this other stuff, but my wife had bought elderberry is a really good thing to have. But we also have these. My wife got some scalpels from the hospital and whatnot. But this also, she had bought some. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one. But she had bought one. Some they're like shots, like in case somebody were to get shot. I don't know what the whole. Hold on one second. I got to clasp this bag because I know as soon as I lift it up, it's going to fall all over the place because her Sibylla is a klutz. So it's got a something, there's some sort of needle. If somebody were to get shot, you could inject it in the wound. I mean, those things were expensive. They were like $75 a piece. I'm not really sure how many we got, maybe 3 or 4 of them. You know, we're not Rambos or anything. We're not Jason Bournes, but it's always nice to have, you know, something. But have yourself a really nice medical kit. Also, have yourself a little sled, because obviously if you're hauling firewood and it's snow on the ground, you're going to want a sled. And we bought this from Menards, I think like $20 or $19, something like that. And it's got the little pole string on it and all that kind of stuff. But it's just nice to have just in case. If you had to, you could actually use one of your bins as a sled as well, because it would move across the snow pretty well. Have yourself one of these. I'm not going to give away our location. But have yourself one of these. Have a road atlas of the country. Because you're not going to have a GPS, so you have to have a map of the country. So have yourself a road atlas. And they're really nice because, you know, you have big enough pictures of, you know, the stuff that, I mean, you basically have everything. And all the roads, the county highways, everything is all marked. So have yourself an atlas. And it's laminated, so you don't have to worry about it getting destroyed as far as water damaged. All right, have yourself some extra buckets and some lids. And at our wedding, we had an open bar, so we had a shit ton of booze left. So we've gone through some of it, but some of the other stuff that we never use is also in our bug-out trailer. Got dry gin, brandy, schnapps. I mean, all kinds of stuff. That could be... Could also be something that, you know, shit, you're like, man, it's all coming to an end. Let's just get fucked up and get hammered. But it could also be a good bartering tool as well. So, went over that. Inside all these, we have beans and rice, a lot of it. And this is just stuff that would, it's not, you know, we probably have a year's worth of food in here, I think, for her and I. Maybe a little bit more, but this kind of stuff would go well with your fish and your meat for hunting and fishing, whatever the case is. But what I did was I actually took silicone And I grab one of these lids here. I put silicone all inside the rim here, and then I place it on top of the bucket, and I stepped on it, and I just kind of burped the lid a little bit and pressed it down in it. That way it stays fresher longer. Have yourself a bunch of garbage bags. These are all left over from our wedding. But have yourself a bunch of garbage bags. These are going to be really important for you. And let's see. We have a lot of stuff. We bought a dehydrator. And the majority of it has stayed pretty well. These, we got bananas and carrots and meat and all kinds of stuff. So, the only thing that was bad, since I've opened this up, was just this one, and all this stuff was on clearance. Actually, I think my wife might have got this from Amazon. And I think it's because this trailer gets hot in the summertime, and this bag it looks like it's a nice clean rip. So I think it just failed. And this was the only thing that's all moldy and nasty. So that's going in the trash, obviously. So that was the only thing. And I check this every year. My wife and I do. So that was the only thing out of all this stuff that was bad. So, we have flour and sugar, salt, a lot of salt. We have dry milk. We have a lot of canned goods, peanuts. We have, oh my God, I had to pull all this stuff out because I wanted to make sure it was all good. We have stewed tomatoes and fruits, cereals, and we bought a bunch of summer sauces that was on clearance, jalapenos. We have booze in this one as well, good booze though. Have some cigarettes for bartering, or if you're a smoker like I, this toilet paper's in here only to kind of cushion the blow from, obviously your bottle's getting broken. And then we have plastic gloves, we have chem lights, we have propane in here. We have several flashlights and batteries and more tea stuff. Fix a flat. We have all, and these are our files and our chisels. We got bleach in here. We have books, obviously, to read because you're going to be bored. More flashlights and batteries, toothbrushes. We bought a shit ton of these. These are little chem lights. They were like 50 cents a piece. We have steaks, and we have masks, respirators with more filters, more peanuts and dried fruits. Got a bunch of matches, more flour and fruits and coffee, aluminum foil, a lot of canned goods, a lot of spices. All this stuff, again, was on clearance. You're going to want spices and all kinds of stuff. So these are for mosquitoes. My wife bought them on Amazon. And you wear these around your wrist, and they're mosquito repellent. And then we have nuts and more spices and this and that and all kinds of stuff. So, having craisins and raisins and ramen and peanut butter, this is all stuff that will sustain you. Have Ziploc bags, more coffee, beans. But we got a ton of stuff. And we check it every year to make sure. The only thing that concerns me is in the summertime, this trailer does get pretty warm. And I know you're supposed to dry it in a dark, cool place. And that's why I check it every year, because I'm a little concerned that it does get so hot in here that, you know, some of the food, once we open it, might be bad. It's just a chance we're going to take. I'd rather have it and find out it's good than not have it and say, oh shit, what if it was bad? So anyways, we also have more lights, toilet paper, duct tape, what else? Oh, these are really nice to have. So speaking of fire, this is more batteries in here. Yeah, we got a shit ton of batteries. Now, the stuff, these are real nice to have. You take your toilet paper rolls and you take your dryer lint and you fill these with your dryer lint. And we have, shit, hundreds of these, I think, for making fire. And then more mosquito nets, more spices, juice cocktail, tomato juice, more spices. Oh, this is also, chicken broth is going to be really good to add in the stuff. Also, another thing that I would recommend, and I saw it, and I forgot where it was. Oh. Oh, we have cooking oil. I mean, there's so much stuff, but have some of this, man. Just the chicken flavored, you know, chicken stock, just the bouillon cubes. You know, you'll be amazed that when you're hungry, and we have a lot of this, and the beef one as well, I believe. Yeah, we have several of those. But anyways, have that on hand, because I'll tell you one thing, your motivation to go up if you're drinking a hot cup of bouillon and instead of drinking just a hot cup of water. So that only, you know, for a canteen cup of boiled water, you know, you could put a half a teaspoon in that, and it's going to be pretty freaking yummy, especially if you're hungry. So have some of that as well. And then we have hot sauce, of course, and we have, I mean, just so much stuff, licorice and noodle soup mix. And some people, and my wife did a list, and the majority of them, but every time I go through it, my ass is always losing them. More stuff from Menards, golden yams, and more tomato juice, mustard, hot sauce, salsa. Have a bunch of this too. This stuff is not that expensive. I think we have 10 of them, but hand sanitizers, especially if you're in a group and you have questions that people aren't washing their hands after doing the number 1 and the number 2. You know, you're going to want to tell people, hey man, you know, make it a priority that everybody does 1 squeeze a day, you know, before they eat or at night or in the morning. Hey, listen, or throughout the day, hey, I wouldn't go through a shit ton of it. Wash your hands. We have tons of bar soap as well. We have a lot of bar soap, but have that stuff as well. Let's see, what's that? More wipe stuff and toothpaste and more toilet paper. There was one thing, we got Ben Gay and all kinds of stuff. There was one thing on one of the, I think it was Canadian Prepper. There was, it was like these little toilet paper balls that actually, when you open them up, they expand. They're like, they're super compact, but I forgot what they're called. But anyways, my wife ordered them on Amazon. It was like 500 of these toilet paper things, and just this little compartment that once you open them up, they expand. So those are really super nice to have. So we bought those as well. So, and then have yourself some digging tools. Have a bolt cutters, shovel, post hole digger, pitchfork, shovel. That long bar is called a gorilla bar. And those are things that you're going to need. I think you saw a rope on there in that pile over there. There's rope on top of there. And of course, we got regular cordage with our Bugout bags and all that kind of shit. So, oh, and then, excuse our shop. We just moved into this one, so it's a freaking wreck. I haven't had a chance to get it together. If you can have one of these, this thing is going to be like gold. Basically a torch cutter. It's just oxygen and acetylene, and you can actually cut through metal with that. I mean, shit, we've actually cut a. Actually, I'll show you to show you how good those things work. Our old mechanic, piece of garbage, is no longer with us, thank goodness. But he had actually, and excuse his shop as well. This is the one we're moving out of. But he had cut these railroad ties or these railroad tracks with that torch cutter. It took him a while, but he literally cut through this whole, I mean, both of those on that side as well on this side, cut right through those with a torch cutter. And to have an acetylene, I think the torch cutter itself is like a couple $100 for the nozzle. And I think that's, yeah, for this right here, for the cutting nozzle and the hoses and the gauges, I think it was a couple $100 from our Snap-on guy. And then the bottles, $150 I think for that one, and like $200 for the. So you're talking probably $400 or $500 maybe for everything here. I think. Don't quote me on that, but having one of these would be amazing if you had one of those. Now back to the Menards thing, and so I bought more stuff. I'm going to put you down for 1 second. I should have had this stuff ready. I apologize. But I want you to get the gist of it when I show you. And I just dropped the can on the phone. All right, so we have refried beans, spaghetti rings, spicy black beans, a Spam knockoff, and all these cans of baked beans. So I think it was like 65 cans of food. 65 cans was $73. 65 cans. That could feed my wife and I for a month easily. It's a can of food a day. You're going to be rationing, obviously. So, and then today when I went, I had to buy a couple more of these bins. They had this ketchup, this pork gravy, and this meat pasta sauce, and the vinegar. So it was, all this stuff in this bin was $42. This could feed me. I mean, you're going to have ketchup. Heinz ketchup, back when, in the early 1900s, here's a fun fact, the meat was so rancid that they were using all kinds of ketchups. They were using walnut sauce and fish sauce and this and that. And Heinz actually, they arrested him for defaulting on a loan. And he actually was arrested for it. And then they actually, he didn't go to prison or anything, but he was in trouble. Well, he went to his brother, and he and his brother, he came up with the ketchup mix, the Heinz ketchup. And they did it in clear bottles because they wanted everybody to see how tempting it looked. And it ended up being a hit. So anyways, having the ketchup and the meat sauce and the gravy, and the refried beans and the baked beans and all that kind of stuff. So you figure we have probably For my wife and I right here, we could probably survive off of 2 months for everything we have right here. And it's rationing, of course. It's definitely rationing. But if you're in a hungry situation, 1 can of food a day with some rice is better than no cans of food and no rice. So that would be the best tasting refried beans and rice and whatever. And of course, you know, if you're fishing and hunting and whatever the case may be, you're going to be not just eating, you know, rice, or I mean, just fish and meat. So you're going to want definitely something else to go with that stuff. And it's it's got a lot of sodium. It's probably got a lot of fillers, I'm sure. But the thing is fillers fill your belly, and you know, no fillers doesn't fill your belly. So all this stuff was on clearance. So again, we have, like I said, probably easily 100 cans of food and ketchup here. And like I said, it would feed my wife and I for 2 months. Rationing, of course. So with all this stuff that we have in here, and I think our other murder machine is, yeah, it's over there in the corner right there. Anyways, you know, we're fortunate enough to where we're not well off at all. I mean, we struggle at times as well. So, but thanks to my wife being so cool about it and saying, hey, you know, if this shit's really going to go down, it's an insurance policy at the end of the day. So, I just wanted to take a few minutes and show you what we have. I don't know if... Damn, lights broke on my ATV. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but we have insurance on our vehicles, our lives, our houses, and our apartments, our dental insurance. So this is just basically an insurance. And it wasn't cheap. I mean, it's thousands of dollars, but it's definitely, you know, they say that, you know, it's going to happen. And this is, look at what happened to the people in Harvey, in Houston for Hurricane Harvey. Them people, if you had this trailer and that truck, you were faced with a situation, a flood, a tornado, doomsday scenario, whatever the case is, you would have means of leaving your home, hooking up to a trailer, and it doesn't have to be this trailer, it doesn't have to be that truck. It could be a smaller trailer, it could be a little 2-wheel drive truck. It doesn't have to be, you know, the top end of this and the top end of that. But take time when you go through a store, go and walk down aisles for clearance items. Take a little bit of ingenuity, take a little bit of cash if you have it, and make an old trailer work that is that was on at an auction, and take a little bit of time. This stuff isn't just going to fall into your lap. You have to make it work, and you have to keep up on it. You have to make sure the stuff is going to be edible and it's not going to be damaged. I mean, so we don't get any rodents, we actually put rat and mouse poison on the inside of the trailer, so we don't want to get any rodents in there and such. It's not on the food bins. We just cut it up. It's little green chunks. It comes in a bucket. And we sprinkle it in our shops, and we sprinkle it inside the trailer on the ground. So that way, if you do get any rodents in there, they're going to eat that, and they're not going to be going into your food. I don't really see, I mean, they could chew through the bins, I'm sure. But these are the things that you want to do. So we normally check ours every fall now. So because they say we're going into a grand solar minimum and that the winter is going to be harsh and whatever the case is. So I'll tell you one thing, if a lot of families would have had this trailer in any hurricane situation, and they were able to get out of Dodge and take their family and their friends and go somewhere further away and go to a campground or go to a, go to a freaking rest area, you could live out of this trailer and you could shower, of course you'd have the restroom to go to the bathroom, whatever, but you could actually literally shower. Who cares if you're showering and the water goes right on the damn pavement of the rest area, who cares? I mean, it's not like you're taking a shit on the ground, but you could shower, you could heat up, you'd have heat, you know, so on and so forth. So I know I'm babbling right now, but I'm just trying to stress the importance of having something like this. And it takes time. It does take time. If you don't have it now, maybe you should think about getting it, because if this stuff does happen, like they say it's going to happen, why not be prepared? So if you like the video and you like the things that I'm saying, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. I do a lot of do-it-yourself stuff. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a professional by any means, but it's just, at the end of the day, it's just kind of common sense. So please click the like button, share the video, subscribe, tell your friends about it. And if you have any questions, you can always call me at 414-477-7845. Again, that's 414-477-7845. Kurt Sabella from Time Machine Transport. I'll help anybody out that I can with any kind of, you know, information or any kind of hints that you guys may need or want. But once again, click the like button, share, and subscribe. And hope everybody is well. Love all you guys. Take care. Kurt out.